Yes, everyone, it is that time. It is I, and first I want to thank Mark Woldrich and the Mark Woldrich Orchestra for our fantastic new version of our theme. I love it, and I hope you folks do too. Now, we're playing catch-up this week. Yes, this week, some of the reviews I come out with, it's not going to be a full six-pack, but these are going to be the reviews of movies that I saw in 2010 that I just didn't get a chance to review because life, the universe, and everything kind of took precedent over getting me in front of the camera. Well, now we're here, and first up on the block this week is going to be Tron Legacy. Yes, the geek film of 2010. For those few of you who haven't heard of it, it does star Jeff Bridges as well as Bruce Boxleitner coming back as their respective characters of Flynn and Alan, and they're joined by now Garrick Edlund, who you may have seen in Aragon, as well as the delicious Olivia Wilde, who was originally in Turistas. Now, first-time director comes along, and he handles the sequel very well. Okay, it's a highly anticipated, long-awaited sequel, so it gets built up so much in its fan base that sometimes these films just fall flat. Well, Tron Legacy does not fall flat. No. What helps it, though, is the visual effects. The visual effects are stunning. Best 3D, I think, of 2010. They use it as it's meant to be, not just like, oh, look what can fly at you, like they used in The Final Destination, excuse me. No, they actually use it more practically, and it helps add depth, literally, and metaphorically, to the film, okay? Helps you submerge yourself into this Tron world, and I am glad they used the 3D because it just helps add to the already visually stunning effects that they had in this movie. Also, what's stunning are the performances in this film. Jeff Bridges doing great as dual roles, both Clue, which is kind of the program that kind of went nutso that Flynn created, and as Flynn. And he does such a fantastic job that there is a nice separation between the two characters. You don't look at Clue as going, oh, that's Flynn playing Clue. No, you actually see a different character. You can perceive him as a different character. He stands alone. He's not, you almost forget that he's being played by the same guy. Okay, that's how well Jeff Bridges does in Clue, in Tron Legacy, as separating Clue from Flynn, okay? So I loved that part of it, and I loved his performance in it. Garrick Edlund also carries himself well in his scenes with Jeff Bridges. Where you might think he might get lost in the background or not be able to carry himself, he does very well standing up to the star power and the performances of Jeff Bridges and Bruce Boxleitner. And Olivia Wilde is fantastic in it. She does this great performance. I think you'll love her character in the film. I know I did as well. As great original character, and just overall, this is a solid film. Now, what I would recommend is you see the first film before you see Tron Legacy, only to help you give a more solid background to the movie. You don't necessarily need to see it, but if you do, it helps make Tron Legacy a more solid film and gives you a little bit more understanding of not only the world you're in it, but as well as the recurring characters that have come back from the first film. Also, I love the retro look to the production design. While they did give the suits and the light cycles a modern flair, there was a club scene in there that just felt right out of the 80s. I mean, the way people were get up and the look of the place and the music playing really had that 80s feel to it. So while you did have the modern touches to it, the modern update, there were also hints of the retro that gave us a feeling of nostalgia, and it also helped kind of tie that movie to the first one. Tron Legacy is a solid film. It's PG-13, and while some of the themes in there are a little bit heavy for a PG-13 film, overall it's a nice, entertaining, action-packed film that'll visually stun you and just have a nice, pleasant night sitting down and watching this film. I gave it 4 stubs across the board, folks, and I think you will too once you see this movie, if you haven't already. And that'll about do it for us here at The Final Cut. Till next time, folks, keep that ticket stub. I'm going to play some discs of Tron now.